You know, a lot of our viewers know about the five families, the Bonanos, the Colombos, Lucchese's, Genovese's, and so forth, Gambinos. But that particular area was a Genovese-controlled situation. Were you being groomed in that direction?
Let's just say that not to, you know, you're raised a certain way when you're an Italian male from a neighborhood, and what is your skill set when you come out of the neighborhood? You're a street kid. And if you got balls and you're a tough kid and you got some brains, remember, balls is not enough. You gotta be smart. These guys are not stupid. They're very smart guys. So what happens is they give you a little something to do. You make a few dollars. They see if they can trust you with it, if you're responsible. You know what I mean? And you go out and do it. Do you keep your mouth shut, or you one of these guys go around to tells everybody your business, and then you bring heat to everybody else? So it starts like that. The stuff I did later on, I mean, obviously when out of my teenage years when I was a man, and I was down in South Florida now, because I was in the Bronx and in Boca Raton and down South Florida. And when I did that, I would pick up money from anywhere from gambling money or it started with gambling money, but believe it or not, it went into Italian purveyors. And I remember when this thing switched over, usually the guy gives me a sheet, he says, go out and collect this money, and go take care of these guys. And I had something they called dead paper. You gotta understand something, I was very creative. And one day a guy calls me and says, look, can you, are you still doing this? Would you collect something for a restaurant supply company, like purveyors? I said, what are you talking about? He says, the guy, tomatoes. I said, tomatoes? What are you talking about, tomatoes? He says, the guy owes me for tomatoes. I said, what guy owes you? 5 cases of tomatoes? You want me to bother me with tomatoes? He said, he owes me $135,000 in tomatoes. I said, kid, that's a lot of tomatoes. Holy mackerel. I said, how does this guy owe you? It turns out the guy owns a Canadian, he's a grower of tomatoes. This guy grows the tomatoes, ships them to the purveyor in New Jersey. The purveyor in New Jersey takes it, turns it into puree, puts it in cans, and then sends it off to the restaurants. Okay, makes his money. Well, that guy did it, sent it off, and then told the guy told that farmer to go kiss ass, and he wasn't gonna pay him. So they call me, and I'm in Miami. And he says, man, I need you to go to Jersey and see somebody. I said, and they tell me this thing. So we get on a plane and we go up there. I have a funny thing. When you're on a plane with a screaming kid for 2.5 hours from Miami to there, by the time I landed, I would have took on Normandy. I would have landed in Normandy and won the war by myself. I was so angry and so hostile. We landed, the guy picks us up at the airport. He says, we're gonna take you back to the hotel. You'll go see this guy tomorrow. No, I said, take me right now. He goes, we gotta bring the bags. I said, leave the bags in the car. Take me to this guy right now. And we go right over there. And the guy's name is on the side of a building. He's a big money guy. His building is like a block long. So I said, we got to get to this guy. He's all the way in the back. We got to get to this guy. I got to go deliver this message. So the girl comes over and she says, how can I help you? And she had these, I'll never forget. She looked like she worked there since the 50s, that woman. And she's like, can I help you? I think this is where acting and the improvisation come in good, especially when you're in the street, because you got to make moves. Nothing ever goes right. Right. There's always something, you always got to cut a corner somewhere. So I said to her, listen, you guys, this guy, I had his name. I said, this guy ordered baseball uniforms, but I think we messed up your logo, and I really don't want to print all these uniforms and hurt these little kids, and they'll be all upset if we got to change their uniforms. And she's like, wait, I said, well, I don't want to just print it. She goes, why don't you just go tell him yourself? I said, you know what, that's best. You make it so convoluted that they just want you to talk to the guy. They can't possibly pass the message. Now, nobody's looking. She walks us right into the guy's office. Nobody even looks up from the desk. Why? Because you're not making any noise. There's no big scene. So we walk in there, and there's this guy behind the desk. The guy's got to go 400 pounds in a green suit, right, with a little chewed-off cigar sticking out of his mouth, right? He's got the 5 sausage neck thing going on. You know what I'm talking about, those kind of guys. And he's sitting there punching out numbers on this thing, counting his money, right? And behind him is a big glass window, one of the big observation windows. Well, we're up on the 3rd floor, and down underneath is all the warehouse with all his guys and all the things so he can watch everything. So the guy's sitting there, he's hitting it, and he says, mind you, he doesn't look up. He's still looking down when we walk in his office, and I got one of those guys with me. And he goes, and the guy was a little older. So he goes, so the guy says to me, yeah, how can I help you? I says, how can you help me? I says, I'm here for $135,000 for tomatoes that you took from this guy. And that's the first time he looked at me. And he looks at me with the tough guy and he goes, I don't think I got to talk to you about this. Or you don't. And I remember, I says, you seem to be pretty good with numbers. I see that. I said, I want you to do a calculation. I want you to give me you do the calculation, okay? You weigh about 400 pounds. You're about 16 feet up out, and that's a plate glass window behind you. When I throw your fat ass out that fucking window, and you hit the cement, and that fat head of yours splits open on the cement, how many G's did you pull? And that fucker starts sweating. And he's like, hey, I'm waiting for the guy to pull a gun. That's exactly what I was waiting for next. And the next thing he goes, well, guys, just give me a time. I say, you got 12 hours. Send the money in 12 hours or we'll come back and see you. And then, you know what? Fuck the money after that.
Wow.
I left. The money was paid. Within 12 hours, he wired it. We made like $27,000 in one day's work.